At the age of 82, having walked through the many phases of life, I have learned countless lessons, some joyful, some painful. However, there is one decision I deeply regret. It was the moment I chose to move into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the logical choice. My family reassured me that it was the safest, most convenient option. They promised me all the care and comfort I could ever need. But what I didn't know, what no one truly prepared me for, was how drastically my life would change. Today I want to share with you 6 truths I wish I had known before I made that decision. These lessons are hard-won, and they hold the power to change how you view this crucial decision, whether for yourself or a loved one. So stay with me, as these insights might surprise you. Let's begin. Regret 1: losing my independence. The hardest truth I faced after moving into the nursing home wasn't the sterile environment or the lack of familiar comforts. No, the hardest truth was realizing I had lost my independence. Before the move, I had my own routines. I decided when to wake up, when to eat, how to spend my day. I could take a walk whenever I felt like it. I could cook my meals, take a nap in my favorite chair, and even enjoy the quiet moments with a good book. But in the nursing home, everything changed. My life was no longer mine to control. Everything became dictated by a schedule. Meals were served at fixed times, even if I wasn't hungry. Lights went out at a prescribed hour, whether I was ready for sleep or not. Want to go for a walk? It required permission. And it often meant waiting for help. Simple decisions that once were mine to make, like what to eat or what to wear, were no longer my choice. They were privileges. Once you lose your independence, you cannot simply take it back. You adapt because you must. You stop questioning the rules, you learn to fit into their system, and in doing so, you start to lose yourself. Before you consider moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the little freedoms that give life its meaning? Regret 2: feeling forgotten. Another painful truth is the loneliness that creeps in when you least expect it. When I first arrived at the nursing home, my family promised they would visit often, and they did at first, but as the weeks passed, those visits grew less frequent. Calls replaced face-to-face visits. Special occasions like holidays felt even more hollow when plans were cancelled last minute. The world outside continued to turn while I felt like I was left behind. Time passed, but the people I loved seemed to drift further away. The loneliness in the nursing home was unbearable. You realize that once you're out of sight, you're often out of mind. And that's a reality you can't escape. If you're thinking about a nursing home, consider this. Are you ready to be forgotten? Even by the people who love you most. It's not that they stop caring, it's that life moves on, and suddenly you're no longer part of the daily rhythm. Regret 3: losing my sense of purpose. Before the move, I had purpose. I had my own tasks, my responsibilities. Whether it was tending to my plants, making my own coffee, or simply organizing my space, I had a reason to wake up each day. I had routines that kept my mind sharp and my body moving. But in the nursing home, that sense of purpose disappeared. Meals were served to me, cleaning was done by others, and my small comforts, those routines that once gave my life meaning, vanished. I watched people like George, an 84-year-old former carpenter whose hands were once strong and capable. Now they sat idle, and his spirit seemed to fade with every passing day. He had nothing to work toward, nothing to create, and in his words, I feel useless. I understood him completely. When you lose your purpose, you lose your vitality. Before deciding to move into a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? If you don't have an answer, be aware that you might lose it once you step inside. Purpose is not something that can be easily replaced. Regret 4. Declining health faster than expected. One truth that got me completely off guard was how quickly my physical health deteriorated after I moved in. Before the nursing home, I was still active. I could take walks, stretch in the mornings, and do my own shopping. But once I settled into that routine of comfort and convenience, my body started to change in ways I hadn't anticipated. At first, it seemed like I was simply taking it easy. Meals were brought to me, and I didn't need to stand in the kitchen to cook. But the less I moved, the weaker I became. My legs stiffened, and simple tasks like getting out of a chair became difficult. I saw the same thing happen to others. Once independent people were now relying on wheelchairs. It's easy to forget that movement is not just about convenience, it's about survival. Ask yourself, if you move into a nursing home, will you still have the motivation to stay active and strong? Once you stop, it's much harder to start again. Regret 5. The loss of privacy and dignity. Before moving into the nursing home, I had a space I could call my own. I could close the door, be alone with my thoughts, and take solace in my privacy. But once I entered that stereo world, privacy became a luxury. Every day felt like I was being watched. Staff came and went at all hours, routine checks were frequent, and there was little space to call my own. Even simple things like getting dressed or going to the bathroom required someone's assistance. This loss of dignity, of being seen as a person and not just a patient, takes a toll on your soul. There were moments when I felt less like myself and more like a name on a list, a number in a system. Before considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the privacy, dignity, and autonomy you've cherished your entire life? Regret 6. Realizing it's harder to leave than you think. One of the most surprising truths was how difficult it would be to leave the nursing home once I was in. I moved in thinking it would be a temporary solution, an experiment. But when I decided I wanted to leave, I realized how hard it would be. My house was no longer the same. It had been left empty, and my family had made decisions about my belongings that I wasn't prepared for. Returning home was not as simple as I thought. My health had declined, and I wasn't as confident in my ability to live alone. The fear of not being able to care for myself kept me stuck. I wasn't alone in this. Many people I met shared the same regret. The decision to enter felt reversible at first, but the longer you stay, the harder it is to leave. Ask yourself, if you move into a nursing home, are you prepared for the possibility that leaving might not be as simple as you think? Looking back, I don't regret growing older. What I regret is believing that moving into a nursing home was my only option. I walked in expecting comfort, safety, and a better quality of life. But what I found was a world that slowly took away my independence, my privacy, my purpose, and even my sense of self. Does this mean nursing homes are all bad? Not necessarily. Some people genuinely need the level of care they provide. But before making that life-changing decision, think carefully about what you might be giving up. Once you move in, life will never be the same. If I could do it over again, I would have fought harder to stay in my own home, explored more ways to receive help, without giving up my freedom, and ensured that I truly needed to be there before making such a permanent move. If you are facing this decision, I urge you to ask yourself, is this truly what's best for me, or is it just what seems easiest right now? Because the life you have today, your routines, your independence, your choices, is worth holding on to for as long as you can. Thank you for listening. I hope you take these lessons to heart. Share your thoughts and experiences with me. What have you learned today, and how will you apply these lessons to your own life? Your feedback is invaluable to me.